All right, welcome to this episode of the Industry 45 podcast show. I'm your host, Shane Christopher Neal, and today speak to a gentleman by the name of Brandon Reid Allen. I often say this, but if you got three names, you got to be pretty epic. He is from Indiana. He's got a band called Boxcar Junkies and a brand new single called Hey Mama, which is really a killer song. And in the conversation, we talk a little bit about the song. We talk about the style of music that his band plays. It's kind of, I think it's kind of Americana country rock. I know that's a little bit vague and all over the place, but we're going to discuss that and just what it was like growing up in Indiana. And he went through a lot of things in his life, including running away and joining the Carnival. I'm not even making that up. So many great stories. A great singer, a great guy, real fun interview right here, right now. Please welcome Brandon Reid Allen to the Industry 45 podcast show.
This is the Industry 45 podcast show with your host, Shane Christopher Neal. Podcast available at Giant TV Niagara on YouTube.
All right, Industry 45 podcast show. Shane Christopher Neal, thank you as always for tuning in and for being a loyal listener and following everything we do here. And this is a great story we've got because, you know, when you write songs, and good songs are always from great experiences, and some not so great and some tragic. And it's all those experiences that make great songs and that kind of resonate and relate with people. And I got a guy on the phone who's gone through a hell of a lot in life. And I tell you right now, he's kicking ass with his brand new EP and his brand new single. Please welcome to the Industry 45 program, Mr. Brandon Reid Allen. And by the way, if you have three names, that's pretty cool on this show.
That's awesome. Hey, thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate it, man.
So I wanted to, first of all, what's interesting is you're from Indiana. You were born in Indiana?
Yes, sir. Born and raised. Well, I would say raised. I left home at a pretty young age. I've had kind of a nomadic spirit since I was young. So, but yeah.
Ever been to Batesville, Indiana?
You know, I haven't. I grew up more in northern, about 5 miles from the Michigan line. So up towards that area.
The only reason I'm saying that is for about, I don't know, 9 years, I worked for a company here in Canada, but the head office was in Batesville, Indiana, and we used to fly on a private plane. I know this is not about me.
Nice.
This show's about you, not me. But I'm telling you, I used to fly in a private plane to Batesville, Indiana. And yeah, it was kind of, I saw you from Indiana.
Awesome.
I thought that was pretty cool. So there you go. So tell me, take me back a little bit. You started at a young age playing drums, which you should have kept playing because it's the best instrument ever. But and bass, and so give me a little of the background on you as far as your music career.
Well, I grew up in a family band, so I was exposed to all the great music as a kid, from Seeger to the Eagles and Bob, and the George Jones and Willings, and so we did a bunch of cover stuff, and my folks sang and played. My dad actually played drums, and my uncles played guitar. So I kind of went from instrument to instrument, trying to figure out what exactly spoke to me. And about 12 years old is when I got my first acoustic guitar. And I started writing songs and singing, and from that point on, I just knew that was my calling in life, was to try to, it just spoke to me so much. So, of course, we went on through there, and then, as you grow up, get into other bands, and I've just always just been the singer-songwriter kind of storyteller guy in terms of, the material and influences that I listen to.
So tell me how some of your experiences, your life experiences, have created these great songs. Because, and I said this before we started, but your single that's out right now, I get these songs and I play them while I'm working away, and right away, it caught my attention in the guitar melody. It's called Hey Mama. What a great song that is.
I really appreciate that, and that's. Like I say, all the songs that I write, I live, and I just kind of tell stories about, what I've been through. And so, I mean, as a young guy, I just took off, headed down the road. I've hot box cars and hitchhiked cross countries, and I met gypsies and hippies and, travelers and wanderers. And there's good times with that, all the way down to some really hard times where you're busking on the street for money, and you find yourself in situations, and just, I guess, from one extreme to the other, maybe 100 lifetimes I've lived. Hell, I ran away to Carnival when I was a kid, if that tells you anything.
Explain that. I want to know more about that real quick. Like, I assume you just go and sign up with the Carnival people, but how did you get involved in the Carnival? What did you do?
Well, it was only a brief stint in my early. I was 16 years old, or close to 17, and Indiana, where I grew up, very small town, dirt roads, and the malls. That's the feature attraction. And every year the carnival would come and set up, and that was a big deal for us when we were young. And but the cool part was, once it was over, you could go help them tear down and make like $100, right? So we would do that every time it would come. And at one time, I went to go do that, and this guy was running the rides and everything, and he said, "Hey, kid, we're going to," which now, looking back, it kind of creepy because the guy, but it was different times. The guy, he's like, "Hey, we're going to the state fair from here." And I instantly said, "Hey, can I go and help tear down rides and do this and do that?" And he goes, "Sure, kid." I don't think he really thought I was serious. I ran home, drove home, got my guitar, grabbed my backpack, and I was in the carnival. That's kind of how it happened. And we toured, and I ran this little stop sign game, these you put the wiffle ball in a basket. But it was so cool because it was just a gypsy life. I was a kid playing, old tunes by the campfire, and
so it taught you a lot. It taught you a lot about life, though, right?
You know what? It really did, and I couldn't stay still. I did it for about 4 months. It was a blast, and just as a young kid, and I'd already traveled with the family band, recently and around, so it's already just been in my blood. But once I got home, that was it. I grabbed my backpack, hitchhiked cross country, ended up on the West Coast, and then that just led my kind of nomad, sometimes a hobo life, I call it, and the others are just a wander traveler, and I got to experience that before, I guess a lot of other folks did or do or whatnot, so it kind of like put a perspective on life, and I got to, I had a lot of experiences. Like you say, some are tragic. Some of the songs are great, but, they're earned because
right. Shitty
story
made them. Right. The shitty story made a good song,
Yeah. There's some folks that write songs and they don't really have that depth of understanding because they haven't been through it. But that's how you can tell the difference, when you're listening to a track, man, hey, okay, this guy's been through it, man. He gets it. He really believes what he's writing and getting the message and the story out. So
when we
that's just kind of how it goes.
When we talk about your music, because what's really cool is that I haven't figured out if it's country, Americana, or Americana, I guess depending how you say it. A little bit of rock. You have an edgy look. Kind of like me, you got a bunch of tattoos, and you kind of have a very unique style, and I'm trying to think what I could even put it up against. But it's just, how do you describe your music?
Man, that is the $1 million question. Every interview I have, that's the question, and that's a great question, right? I mean, that's a great question to have, and I don't have the answer. I let everybody decide on their own. I just think that it's a real song, and it wrote itself just like all the other songs on the EP. And I kind of learned through the years to let the song write itself. It'll tell you when it's done, and not get in the way, not deal with genres, because when you're in the business, as a business, in the music business, you got to have a product, and it's got to be in this demographic, and I could never do that. I'm just writing songs, and I hope that it reaches people, speaks to them, and so that's where it's at.
If I said the name Brantley Gilbert, it's almost because he's country as a genre, but I'm not saying you look like him, but you've got that kind of image going on, and the vocal
Right.
tone, and to me a little more Americana than him, but that's kind of almost what I was getting out of it. Tell me about the video too. You're talking about busking and stuff, and the video's pretty cool. If my memory serves me right, it was done in Houston or somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that, because that's a really cool video you put together.
That was just off the cuff, because I didn't really necessarily want to write a treatment for it and, get all these stand-ins and all of that. So I just had the guy kind of follow me around because I wanted it to just be real and honest. So the cool part about, these folks, they don't really even know they're being videoed. I've had some people ask me, did you have to sign a consent, or did they? And I'm like, no, but we're just, I just sat my guitar up on the side of the street. Like back in the day, there was times, like I say, that, shoot, man, I'll find a street corner and busk and make a few dollars to eat that day, when you're traveling and whatnot. So it just kind of went back to the kind of what the daily grind of a working, musician from all the way from busking to, I guess a level of success or whatever, going wherever, but just kind of meeting with the people. I wanted it to show the humanistic connection between the song and the person and the music, and also tell the story, because it should be told. Just, that it's a story that needs to be told, right?
Absolutely.
So,
now, tell me too about this relationship you have. A couple of weeks ago, I did an interview with Brandon Reid of Tesla, and you have become friends with Troy Luccketta, the drummer. And so how does that story, where did that story start, and kind of how has he helped you catapult your career at this point anyway?
Wow. Yeah, Troy and I go way back, and he's actually involved in this Boxcar Junkies thing now too, which is a big reason why I came back to Nashville from Houston, because Houston's where we I cut the record, we signed with Sony out there, and I said, listen, I want to go back to Nashville because I've lived here on and off for, quite a few years, and I always have love for Houston, but I love Nashville. And but back to Troy, I had one record out. This is 15, 20 years ago or something. And we connected. I reached out to him to play drums on my second record called Man Born Blind. And the minute I walked through his front door, we just became brothers and have been ever since. Through the ups and the downs and, all of it through life, And so he ended up producing the Man Born Blind record. He brought in some great players, Damon Johnson, Mark Neal. You probably know all these guys.
Sure, yeah.
And it was just an amazing, awesome time. This was in 2008. And so we got to play some, he opened the doors a lot, for opening for some Alice Cooper and sharing the stage with some great musicians, and really kind of believed in me and brought my musicianship up, to another level and challenged me. He's still challenging me. We were just in the studio the other day and he's still challenging me after all these years.
Have you opened up for Tesla yet, though? That's the question. Have you opened up for Tesla?
Well, I haven't. You know what? And I keep saying, man, this music, it would be perfect for the Tesla thing. So we're working on it. Let's just say that. We're talking about some things.
First of all,
no
you need Tesla.
anything.
You need Tesla to play, and you need live music to frickin' play again before anybody.
Exactly.
But I mean, I could see that happening, and it would be a good fit, man. Because I'm a big Tesla fan. They've got kind of a unique sound too, right? And I think it has a lot to do with Jeff Keith and his voice and such. But great band, and you would fit right in there with that in that crowd for sure.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Jeff's one of the greatest songwriters of all time, and Tesla is one of the most underrated band of all time. I mean, of course, they've sold millions of records and they've done great, but I just think the musicianship, the songs, they're one of the top 10 rock bands in my opinion of all time, really. They're just, and they're great live. They just don't miss a beat after all these years, It's amazing.
I want to ask you about, are you with a label now, or do you have distribution and publishing through? I know you did through EMI, but does that still exist? I guess what I'm getting at is that I was curious to know what that is like for an artist like you to have some of these deals, because the record business today obviously is completely different than it was, in 1988. So what's that been like for you? And has it been a benefit? Has it been a hindrance?
It's been a little bit of both. Sony signed us for distribution on, all the digital and so on and so forth, and the platforms and all of that. And then I signed with another Edgewater music group to produce the record, which they did a great job producing it, I think. And so with that, the good news is I kind of went in with keeping the creative control and having kind of the last final say of what the record should sound like, and the merch and the logos and the website, all of that. So if you can keep that, which is almost impossible, that in itself is a miracle. So it never hurts to have the imprint, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to if the music connects with folks, and we're just doing it grassroots, taking it to the people, one person at a time if we have to, and just because it's still brand new, it just came out. So, and we're really, really blown away by the response that it's had already. So we're pretty excited about it,
And the EP is called Established 1973. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
I think that's a cool name, brother. That's cool. I was established in 1969, but 1973 was okay as well. So what are your plans? I mean, I know that's a hard question today because fucking who knows what's going to happen with anything in the live music sector, but with this just coming out, I assume your plan was to tour it a little bit around. You're living in Nashville, right? So what do you look to do if you can and when you can, I guess?
Well, what I think is going to happen, I think we're going to, things are going to open up locally, obviously, sooner before the major tours or national stuff. So what I want to try to do is just, like I say, take this grassroots and just kind of kick this thing off here in Nashville and around it. And eventually, like to hit some buy-ons and get on some good dates, and just get it out there to the people so they can, check it out for themselves. But I'm thinking, of course, none of us know for sure, but it's looking like most of the major tours are going to be canceled for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I would think so.
But it gives us an opportunity to connect locally, and just keep our chops up and be able to kind of build it that way, which I think actually people's mindset's, a little different, obviously, than it was before. I think once we're able to all be together again, especially for, like kind of songs that people, that touch people and speak to them. I really think that this is a good opportunity to start smaller than try to be all distracted from state to state to state right away, so I think it'll all work out better in the end. We'll make it through, that's for sure.
Well, listen, from your experiences in the past, you've made it through, my friend. You're doing a fine job. Can people buy physical copies of the album?
Yeah.
Or is it, okay. So can they go to your website?
Yeah, you can go to boxcarjunkies.com, and then you can just drop me a message, because I like to sign everyone that I send. And also I have a little, I call it Hobo Nation, where we put money towards trying to get folks off the streets and whatnot. So it gives you a link, and you can just donate to that, and I'll send you a CD. There's no set price or anything.
You're a good man, Brandon. Thank you so much.
Now, this is definitely my pleasure, man. And I sure appreciate you taking the time out to speak with me, and, all that good stuff. So,
hey, Mama, make sure you download it, buy it, purchase it. Say hello to Brandon. You're on social media, too?
Yeah. You can look me up on Brandon Reid Allen anywhere, or Boxcar Junkies. And of course you can stream the music wherever, all over the place.
That's just what people do
definitely
today.
Check them out. Oh yeah. And Dream of Angels is another one. Gary Hoey actually he guested on it, and he's just an amazing guitar player. And I think that may be the next single between you and me. You're the first person I told that. So if anybody wants to check out what's coming after Hey Mama, it's called Dream of Angels.
Perfect. Thank you so much, my friend.
Hey, thank you. You have a great day now.
Thanks for listening to the Industry 45 Podcast Show. Check out all podcasts at gianttv.ca, giantfm.com, country89.com, and Giant TV Niagara on YouTube.